Cath and this is made by Cath Craft. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a regular viewer. It's really lovely to have you here, and I'm really glad to be back on because you may have noticed I've been missing on here for a couple of weeks. It might be 3 weeks even. Somehow life just got in the way. It's been a little bit busy with one thing and another, and I've really missed being on here and filming and catching up. So I'm really glad to be back today on this very gloomy, overcast day here in the south of England. It's perfect to be sitting here and chatting to you about all things sewing. So thank you very much for joining me. So I thought, since I haven't been on for the last few weeks, it'll be good to do a bit of a catch-up video just to talk about what I have been up to, because although I haven't had time to film, I have managed to fit in a little bit of sewing here and there. Not as much as I'd have liked, but actually when I started getting things together to share in this video, there's a bit more to share than I expected, so I'm glad about that. So that is the plan today, a bit of a catch up. Thank you again for joining me. I hope the weather is nicer with you than it is here. It's very rainy and dark, so apologies if the lighting's a little bit dark here. It feels like the day hasn't really actually lightened up, even though it's coming up to 9:30 in the morning. It still feels like it's almost dawn or dusk here a little bit. Yesterday was lovely and sunny though, so I can't complain too much. But anyway, I'll kick off this video with what I'm wearing from a handmade wardrobe as usual. And because it's such a gloomy day here, I thought I'd wear a nice bright top. So I've got on an Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons. One of my favourite jersey top patterns, as you'll know if you're a long time viewer, is this one here. I usually make just quite a simple version for a fitted jersey top, and the top does have a scoop neck. But I really like hacking the Agnes top to turn it into more of a boat neck style. I've done that a few times, and yeah, that's what I'm wearing today in this lovely hot pink cotton jersey. And then over the top, I'm wearing a pinafore that I really love. I don't get it out that much, but whenever I do, I really enjoy wearing it. I made it a few years ago now, but I think because it's denim, it's one of those things that feels like it goes with anything and doesn't really go out of style. And it's this pattern here. It's one of Closet Core's lesser known patterns, I think. It's called the Fiona Sundress pattern, which I think makes it sound like it's a pattern just for summer. But I think it's more of a pinafore pattern and it works all year round. And definitely the version I'm wearing today, I wouldn't wear in summer because I made it with not like a really thick denim, but definitely a denim that would feel a bit too hot in hot weather. But it's perfect for layering at this time of year. But yeah, it's a really nice pattern with this button down front, and it's quite fitted with a princess themed bodice and these kind of cute sort of statement pockets. And you can make it either as like just above the knee length or a longer version with slits at the side. And it's got two back options, a straight back and also this pretty crossover back. For my version, I made this straight back just because I thought that would suit a wintry pinafore better, but I would love to try the crossover back too. I think it's really pretty interesting back detail. But yeah, this is my version, just very jeansy. I'll stand back a little bit just so you can see it. I don't know whether I shortened it a little bit or whether it just came up a bit shorter. It's a bit shorter than just above the knee on me. I'll show you. It was one of those patterns I had to tweak a little bit, particularly around the bodice to get the fit just right. I think I did a sort of toile of just the bodice before I cut into my proper fabric. And I'm really glad I spent the time on it because I love the fit now. So yes, that is what I'm wearing today. I'll pop a picture up. I'll mention sizing too. The Agnes top was re-released a couple of years ago with a UK 6 to 34 size range. It's got a really good size range. But Closet Core usually have two size ranges available on most of their patterns. But I think because Fiona's a bit of an older one and maybe hasn't been the most popular of their patterns, it does seem to only be available in their 0 to 20 size range as far as I could see on their website. So that's a bit of a shame. But definitely if you're looking for an interesting pinafore project with a few lovely details that has that lovely princess themed fit, I'd really recommend this one. It's a really fun sew. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing today. I'm trying to feel bright despite the gloomy day. But I'll move on now to sharing what I've been up to over the last few weeks. I've just been managing to sneak a little bit of sewing here and there and tackled a few different projects. Actually, the first thing I'll start with is something I haven't actually got to show you because it's something I made for somebody else, but I did take a picture before I passed it on. And I made another Sabina skirt for my mum. So the Sabina skirt is a lovely free pattern by the Little Pomegranate. I've mentioned it before, I've made it for myself and I've made a few versions for my mum now because she really likes it. I'll put up a picture of the line drawings. It's an elasticated waist gathered skirt designed to be made in woven fabrics. And it's got a lovely little ruffle at the bottom. And I think it's perfect made in swishy fabrics like a viscose. It works so well and it comes together really nicely. And I think it's a great one for all year round. It's a real versatile skirt. I wear mine in summer with like an oversized t-shirt or a vest top, and then in winter with a nice cozy top. And I know my mum does too. And I'll pop up a picture of the version I made her. She asked for another one, so I had a look online for quite reasonably priced viscose fabrics. I found this, well, I found actually a few different ones on the Minerva website that I think were $5.99 a metre, I think. So yeah, really good value. And she particularly liked this monochromatic print. So I turned that into a Sabina skirt for her and she's really happy. I think it will go with lots of things. And that was quite a nice, simple sew that I was just able to sort of pick up every now and then, do a seam here and a seam there when I was a bit busy with other things going on in life. So yeah, and it was really nice to be able to make something for her. So that is the first thing I've got to share. I don't have a picture of her wearing it, but yeah, at least I've got a picture there. Before I handed it over to her, I sent her a picture saying it's done. So yeah, I'll link that fabric down below. It's yeah, really nice quality, lovely swishy viscose. Really good value, I think, at $5.99 per metre, especially when it's a free pattern too. The whole skirt didn't end up costing that much. And I think people that don't so often think that sewing your own clothes can be cheaper than buying ready to wear. And as we know, it generally isn't the case. But it is nice sometimes when actually it can be very good value, like that skirt. So that's the first thing I had to share. And the Sabina skirt is available in a size range of UK 6 to 34. So a really good size range and a lovely free pattern, and I'll make sure to link it down below. But now I'll move on to some other things I've been sewing. And actually everything else I've been sewing has been for me. That was my one selfless sew over the last couple of weeks. And the first thing I thought I'd share is that I finally sewed up a little project bag to store my sewing machine, cable and power cord. So a few weeks ago, I think I mentioned I had enough of my power cables dropping out of my sewing cupboard whenever I opened the cupboard door, because they were sort of popped in there a little bit precariously because the cupboard is quite full. Because I don't have a sewing room here, as you probably know. I generally get out my machines when I want to sew and then tidy them away. And I've got a cupboard where I store all of my sewing supplies, including the power cables. And I finally thought, right, let's make a couple of little bags to stop the cables flopping about so much when they're in the cupboard and store them a bit more securely. So I sewed up initially one for my overlocker, this little bag here. It's a lined drawstring bag with a little boxed bottom. Quite a simple sew once I'd worked out the dimensions I wanted for it, and I just used a couple of cotton fabrics I had in my stash. So I used this pretty sort of mustardy coloured cotton on the outside and a hot pink on the inside, and add a little ribbon for the drawstring. And then having made this one for my overlocker, I wasn't sure what to go for my sewing machine. I did have enough of this fabric left, so I could have made a matching one. But in the end, I decided to choose a different fabric, just so really easily clear to differentiate between in the cupboard, and I can grab the one I want without having to think about it. But I wasn't sure what fabric to use. And then I've just been trying to have a bit of a clear out of my wardrobe of handmade garments or ready to wear garments I don't really wear. And I had this Calais shirt dress that I made a while ago now, and I loved the fabric, but I didn't ever really love the actual shirt dress on me, and I wasn't really reaching for it. And I think maybe in summer I don't generally tend to wear it was a cotton poplin. I don't generally tend to go for cotton poplin in summer anyway. It's just, I guess maybe I find it that little bit too thick for summer weather. So anyway, it was just one of those garments I wasn't reaching for, but I loved the fabric. So what I thought I'd do is I took all the buttons off the front so I could save them for another make, and then the back of the Calais is quite a nice big piece of fabric because it is quite roomy there. It's got a little pleat in it to kind of bring it in at the top, but it's quite a wide piece. So I just kind of cut that piece out. I'll pop a picture up so you can see it. And I had it left over, and I thought actually there's just enough there for me to cut out the 2 squares I need for this drawstring bag. And I love the fabric, so I thought I'd really enjoy seeing it every time I got my sewing machine out. And here is the little bag that I've now sewn up. I just made it yesterday. It's really nice, quick little sew, this drawstring bag. It hasn't got the actual drawstring yet, as you can see. I've done the channel, which might be quite hard to see. There's a couple of lines there that probably aren't very visible for the channel. I need to go and get myself a little ribbon. But yes, this is got my sewing machine pedal and power cord in, and I use the same hot pink for the inside, so it kind of matched my overlocker bag. But yeah, I thought that's quite cute. And also my machine is a faff that is white with a hot pink bit on, so I thought that would match nicely too. So yeah, it was a nice, lovely little easy sew yesterday. I really enjoyed getting my machine out and just basically sewing some straight lines to put this together. I think I'm going to see if I can get a ribbon that's the same width as this one, but in hot pink for this bag. So yeah, I've got my 2 little bags now to house my pedals. And actually I've been finding this one, it's so much easier to have this in the cupboard than having the cable just shoved in without being housed in a little bag. So I'm really glad I've made those. And I love a little simple project like this using sort of fat quartz type fabric. I always think it's fun. So yes, that is all done. And I'm looking forward to using this. Just need to get that little drawstring at the top. Yeah, that was really satisfying to do that. I'm glad to have done the second one and have finally decided on the fabric. The next thing that I've been sewing is a bit of a cosy make that I sewed up quite quickly, and it was quite a speedy, easy sew, and one I needed at this time of year. And I needed to make myself a new pair of pyjama bottoms. I've got 2 pairs of handmade pyjama bottoms that I wear in winter, and I generally alternate between them. Put one in the wash, get the other one out. And one pair has been getting very old and tatty. The elastic started to go, and it wasn't really worth replacing the elastic, so I can see the fabric starting to wear thin in places too. And I've sort of known they've been kind of getting a bit tatty for a while, but I love the fabric. It's this really cute fabric with these little clouds on it. It was one of my earliest sewing makes, so they have lasted quite well, quite a few years. But yeah, I knew they were getting to the point where I need to retire them, so I've had a look online for some new fabric to make a new pair of pyjama bottoms. I actually just whizzed upstairs to get the pyjamas so I could show you how cute the fabric is. Here are my old pyjama bottoms here. I love this print, it's so sweet. And I'm a bit sad they're getting a bit threadbare now. I remember buying this fabric from Etsy, I think it was, because that was before I knew about all of the online fabric shops, and I wasn't so familiar with them at that point. And I remember this fabric being quite expensive at the time, but I really loved it. And I have got a lot of wear out of these pyjama bottoms, but yes, they are getting to the point where they do need replacing. So I've sewn myself a new pair. And when I'm sewing myself pyjama bottoms, the pattern I like to use is this one here. It is the Jamie Pyjama Bottoms pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. It's just a nice simple pattern for a woven pyjama bottom with an elasticated waist, and you can make a shorts version as well. There's an optional drawstring, but it is quite simple, comes together really nicely, has a good size range too. This pattern comes in a UK 4 up to a UK 34, and I think Tilly and the Buttons patterns usually go from a UK 6, but for the Jamies they added the UK 4 size, which is designed to be extra small for teens and tweens. I did used to use a Simplicity pattern for pyjama bottoms, which is a family pattern, and I still use that for my husband, but I prefer the fit of the Jamies on me. And there is also a Joe version that the Tilly and the Buttons did for men as well, so you can kind of make the matching versions if you wanted to. But yeah, I really like how the Jamies come together, and here are my new pyjama bottoms in a really cute ditzy floral. I don't love it quite as much as the cloud print, but I couldn't find that again, and I do love a ditzy floral, so I thought it felt quite me. So it's got a navy base with these pretty little white flowers on, and I got this fabric from Minerva. I think it was on special at the time. I will link it down below. Yeah, it was quite a good price, so I was able to get a decent amount, and I've got a bit left over. I think I've even got enough left over to make a little pair of shorts probably, if I wanted to make a summer version too. But yeah, the pyjama bottoms came together really nicely, and I added some little embroidery, my machine embroidery on the back here in pink. It might be hard to see, but it says back, which is why I did another pair of pyjama bottoms. I quite prefer it to a label instead. So Yeah, I can tell which way around to put them. But yeah, I made them extra long, so really nice and cozy for winter, and it is a cotton poplin, so nice and cozy. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to wearing them this winter, having a new pair of winter pyjamas, and they do fit better than the cloud print ones, so that is a bonus, although I'll miss the cloud print. But yeah, that was the next thing I made for myself. So that brings me on to the next thing that I've been sewing for myself over the past few weeks. And this has been another project that's been perfect for me to be able to pick up and put down just if I want to sew for a few minutes here and there when I've been quite busy. If I do ever have a spare 5 minutes, it's lovely to have a project that I can just get out, do a little bit on without having to think about it too much, but still get that sort of sewing fix and that mindfulness that I do feel comes from sewing very much. So yes, I've been sewing myself up a few new pairs of handmade knickers, and I really enjoy sewing up handmade knickers. I find them really satisfying to sew, and they are great for scrap busting too. And I made quite a few pairs now of the same pattern, so I don't have to think about it too much, which has been perfect. And here are my new knickers. I made 3 pairs here. I actually have got a 4th pair cut out, but I ran out of the fold over elastic. I thought I'd ordered enough, but I always find that I use more fold over elastic than I expect on knickers. Although they're great scrap busters and don't need too much fabric, I do find they are very fold over elastic hungry, and definitely, yeah, it just whizzes through it a lot faster than I ever expect. But yes, here they are. I made them in this beige coloured cotton jersey fabric with cream fold over elastic. I had this fabric planned for another project, but it didn't turn out quite right for that. I'll talk about that in a moment. So I thought it'd make some perfect knickers that'll be great to wear, particularly in the summer under any garments I have that are a little bit sheer, because I thought these are a bit more flesh coloured than my black or white or colourful knickers, so they'd be perfect to wear underneath as a bit more subtle type thing. So yeah, I'm really enjoyed sewing these up, and the knickers pattern I like to use, I've mentioned before, is this one here. Another Tilling the Buttons pattern. This is their Iris Knickers pattern. It comes in the UK 6 to 34, and I'd really recommend it if you're new to sewing handmade knickers, because as ever with Tilling the Buttons patterns, they really hold your hand through the whole process. All of the photos are lovely and clear. There are a few different variations, so you can find your kind of perfect style knickers by kind of mixing and matching between the few options. And they also talk you through how to finish with different types of elastic. I just happen to quite like fold over elastic, but they do show how you can use more lacy elastic too as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed sewing these up. Nice and speedy, and actually I have done a YouTube sew along for sewing the Iris knickers. I'll link it down below in case you fancy having a little watch. Just sort of, yeah, sewing along, making a pair there, and talking about things like how I figure out, you know, the elastic, how much you need to kind of pull it tight, and all those little things you need with knickers. So yeah, I'll link that down below in case you fancy having a watch. But yeah, I was really pleased to sew them up. Another speedy project, and I think that'll be quite useful as well. I hadn't thought about making a pair in this type of colour before until this fabric happened to come along. So it was obviously meant to be. But I'll link the pattern down below. It is a really good one. But yeah, the reason I had this fabric left over is because I have been working on another project, which I've talked about in previous videos, and it is a body warmer pattern using this pattern here, the Werner vest pattern by Sewing Machina. It's a really nice, slightly oversized vest pattern. I think perfect for this time of year, this kind of autumnal weather, where you want something to keep you a bit cozier, but you don't need a full coat. Especially at the moment, it's really rainy, but quite mild here still. It's definitely not really winter coat weather quite yet. So yeah, I thought having a nice body warmer would be lovely. It's designed to be made lined with then a bias tape edge, and with press fasteners, and it's got optional pockets you can add on if you make either this length or this length. With the crop length, there's not enough space to add the pockets, but there's a crop length, kind of waist length, there, and a more of a hip length version too. So yeah, I've been really enjoying sewing my version in this really lovely sort of sherpa fleece type fabric. I got from Fabric Godmother, I think last year, thinking I'd like to make this type of body warmer out of it. Yeah, it's really lovely and creamy and thick and cozy, and I'm making really good progress on my Werner vest. So I've been making the hip length version, which actually lengthened a little bit. I sort of, when I traced the pattern piece out, I held them up against me. I thought it'd work very slightly longer, so I think I lengthened it by an inch or so. And it is now looking like a vest. as you can see. Yeah, with the fabric, as you'll maybe know from a video a few weeks ago, I had originally bought that beige cotton jersey fabric for the inside, but then I was just about to cut it out and suddenly thought, actually, it's not very slippery. It's just a classic cotton jersey. It's not designed to be a lining. And actually, when I wear this vest, it might start to kind of rub and sort of move about because it hasn't got that sort of slip on like you'd expect from a lining fabric. And I bought a stretchy fabric because this sherpa fleece has got a little bit of stretch in, and so I thought it'd be much easier to have a stretchy lining when it does come to sewing them together, so that they both kind of stretch together a little bit, rather than trying to use a woven lining that's really rigid and so one stretches and the other one has no give. So I ended up using the cotton jersey on the knickers, and instead I ordered some knit fabric that is designed to be used as a lining, that has got that slippery feel to it, so hopefully it'll work a lot better. And I got it from Minerva, and I'll link the fabric down below. It's really nice fabric and I think it'll work really well. The only thing is, when it arrived, the colour was slightly different to what I was expecting. So I ordered the beige colour, but it's turned out to be a little bit more pinky than I was expecting. So I'll show you it here. I've got it all attached to the vest now. And yeah, I'll hold up the beige knickers so you can see the difference. Yeah, definitely on the pinky end of beige. But I think it'll work fine, and you won't really see it because it's on the inside, and I wanted a nice light colour, so I'm happy with that. It's just a bit more pinky than I was expecting. But yeah, anyway, it's all attached. It's sewed on really nicely. I'm glad I've gone for the sort of stretch with the slightly stretchy sherpa. I decided to add the pockets, so you can see them here. I wasn't sure whether I should add the pockets because I thought it might make it a little bit maybe bulky there, but actually I thought in the end I'll just be more likely to reach for this if I do have the pockets, just because I really like having pockets to be able to pop in my mobile or my keys and that sort of thing. So I thought it would make it a lot more wearable, which I do want. And actually they haven't turned out too bulky. And the way you do it is you sort of sew the pockets in, and they're enclosed within the actual lining, so you don't actually see the pockets and there's no risk of them flopping down. And then you kind of anchor them onto the main fabric by sewing it in a few different places, just when you put your hands in, the pocket doesn't slip to the bottom, because I guess there is a risk if it did slip to the bottom, because it's quite stretchy, it might start to peep out the bottom. So I think anchoring it on is a really good idea, and I spent a bit of time there just sewing it onto the front, so it should hopefully stay in place. And yeah, it's coming on really nicely, and I've now got to the stage where I've gone around the edge and I've overlocked the edge of the sherpa fleece just to make it a little bit less bulky for when I add on the bias tape, and also to stop it shedding, although it hasn't actually been that bad at shedding. It's been pretty good. And then once I'd overlock the edges, just to sort of squish them down to make it easier to attach the bias tape without it being too bulky, I then went round and just basted the lining and the outer layer together. So hopefully that should make it nice and easy for adding the bias tape. But I've sort of stalled now because I've become really indecisive about which bias tape to use, because I have two different colours as options. So I think I've shown them to you before, and lots of you kindly gave your opinions. And so the two options are, I'll show you again, is this sort of colour here, which is this sort of browny, sort of chestnutty, goldy type colour, which would be a bit of a feature around the edge, or this colour here, which very much more matches the fabric. I'll hold it up so you can see. It really is quite a good match, I guess. And lots of people had different opinions on which one to use, which I really appreciated. And I think when I was making this jacket, I had in my mind I probably would choose this one here, just because I thought it would be a nice feature. So that was in my mind the one I was going to use, until I got to the point of this point and tried it on, and I suddenly was really unsure, particularly because, actually I need to go and grab them. Once I held up the little poppers I'm planning to use, or press fasteners I'm planning to use, it made me feel a bit indecisive too. I'll grab the press fasteners now and show you them too. So these are the press fasteners I'm planning to use on my Werner vest, and they are prim press fasteners. They're 15mm wide, and then this sort of brassy antique style colour. And I think they'll work really well against the creamy sherpa fleece. I'll hold them up together so you can see. Yeah, I think that'll look really nice on there. But the one thing I'm unsure about is whether they go in tone with this colour, this chestnutty colour bias tape. I'm not sure they totally go. So having sort of been sort of fairly sort of keen on this colour, it has maybe a little bit less keen, a little bit unsure, and maybe I'm thinking now actually it might be best to just go for the matching bias tape and just make the poppers a feature. But yeah, just seeing how they look together, the poppers or the fasteners and this tape, has just made me reconsider, and I've sort of popped this project aside for a few days now because I really wasn't sure what to do, and I have reached a point where I need to decide which bias tape I use. So I'd love to hear from you again on this, particularly if you were on team sort of chestnut bias tape before. Do you still think that would work, or having seen the fasteners, would you then maybe opt for the cream instead? Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts because I really would like to finish this and be able to wear it because I think I'm going to enjoy wearing it a lot. It's going to be really cozy. I can put it on now actually to show you what it looks like at the moment in case you want to see the fit as it is. I might just pop it on. I'm not sure whether this outfit totally goes with it, but it'll give an idea of how it sort of looks on so far. So yeah, I really would like to make a final decision whether to go for this kind of chestnut colour or the cream. It's a tough one because I think they both have different strengths. Anyway, yeah, do let me know. So yeah, I think that's the last thing that I've got to share in today's video. I have actually got a couple of fabrics due to be arriving with me soon, so hopefully I'll be able to share them with you next week. I have got some more new things I'd like to sew for autumn, but they haven't arrived quite yet, so that's something to look forward to. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed catching up with me. It's been really, really nice to be back on, and I do appreciate you coming back to my channel, even though I have been absent for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I do really appreciate it. So yes, do say hi in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you're all doing really well and have had some sewing time too, hopefully a bit more than I have, although I have managed to do a bit more than I was expecting. So yes, thank you again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. But in the meantime, I'll say goodbye and I'll leave you with a little outtake of one of my kitties just distracting me from filming a moment ago. I thought I'd just keep filming while he jumped up, and I'll share that now, and then I'll say goodbye now as well. Bye.